Starting today's video by sharing a beautiful manifestation quote by Buddha. What you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create. I find this quote very much relatable. How and why, I'll share soon in this video. In my previous videos, you saw how 2021 kept me busy while creating sculptural artworks, exhibiting them, packing and sending it over to the clients, etc. etc. You saw my art practice and journey till the summer. And I mentioned that we were finally able to travel to Kerala after a gap of 2 years. I was literally craving for this break. And it was monsoon when we reached there. It is very difficult to explain in words the beauty of Kerala monsoon. It might feel like a land straight out of a fairy tale, and Kerala comes alive with fresh smell of wet mud and lush wet greenery. What you just witnessed is a heavy downpour accompanied by Kerala monsoon winds. And the best part of that is I got to see and welcome these cute little guests from nature. What a beauty. People often ask me where I get inspiration for my artworks. The answer is here. And I had to capture this beauty in my sketchbook. I always travel with my small watercolor palette, brushes and sketchbook, and it came handy, and I peacefully sat down for some time to create this watercolor painting. I also decided that I'll be creating new sculptural artworks inspired by these mushrooms as soon as I'm back in Doha. Our 1-month vacation was over just like a flash of a second, and soon we had to travel back. It was such a rejuvenating time for all of us, and it was much needed. We all traveled back peacefully, and I especially was all recharged to get back to my studio and start creating with all the inspirations that I gathered from Kerala. It definitely took some time for our eyes and brain to get used to this change of color palette from the lush greenery to this off-white. During our hotel quarantine, this gorgeous installation on the ceiling caught my attention and inspired me hugely. And after 2 days of quarantine, we are back home and I am back in my home studio. I had to spend few days of dusting and cleaning. Also, kids had virtual learning, so I had to spend time with them as well. But I jumped into my work right away and would start from cleaning up the palette. Whenever I'm getting time, I would start scribbling or creating doodles to come up with new ideas for the next series. So the first plan was to rework on few of my previous works, which was mixed media done on perspex, and I thought this is the best time to just relax and would be a great ice-breaking session to rework on these so that I could just get loosen up and enjoy creating few patterns inspired by the aerial views when we were traveling in the aeroplane. I created beautiful textures with fluid oils, and this was the result. Also, it was time for this tropical collection of sculptural artworks to be live on the online galleries, and it got a huge response. Next, my plan was to create a collection inspired by the autumn colors and textures, because it was already September-October timing in many of the Western countries. That would be the fall season. So this is the beginning stage of the coloring of that collection, and I came up with this beautiful technique to create some organic shapes. This is still one of my favorite artworks, and I don't know why I haven't created any color variations of that. Next, I'm trying to cut out the maple leaves. I've always had an inclination towards the colors and textures of these leaves. So I'm creating I have the plan to create a circular shape arrangement of this petals or leaves, and I thought this too came out really beautifully. I have combined different colors and textures. This is again almost the final phase of yet another artwork with some warm colors. I don't have the initial phases of these, but I'm sure I'll try to capture all those scenes in my upcoming videos. By this phase, I'm adding some final details, and this is how the artwork would look once it's framed. And after playing with so many warm colors, I had to find some time for the peaceful white, and I thought of creating different textures with the milk jars. So all these white textures that you see are created using different parts of the milk bottles that are available here. I try to hand cut them, carve and attach it to canvas or wood to create different organic shapes. In the meantime, I got invited to exhibit few of my artworks as part of Qatar Sustainability Week. Qatar Green Building Council had invited me to be part of their booth, and the event was happening at Mishrib downtown. I decided to exhibit 4 to 5 works, but I'm still figuring out which all works I could take along with me. I thought of combining artworks which has good textures and which forms great organic formations, and something that creates a visual impact as well. In the meantime, I also created a small lampshade for our booth, and these were the artworks that I exhibited. As always, it was a pleasure to meet Mr. Ghanem during our exhibition. He was the person who inaugurated my first solo exhibition. I was part of another discussion happening parallelly while this Qatar Sustainability Week exhibition was going on. That discussion was to create a huge installation in this empty space that will be part of an inauguration for the cutting studios at M7. We had to start the work immediately because the time frame was very less, and we had to collect more than thousands of single-use plastic bottles to create this huge installation. Actually, the work came to me through one of my friends. He's also an artist, and we both created this installation. The Cutting Studio is Qatar's first sustainable fashion production unit, which is located in M7 in Mashrib downtown in Doha. So for their opening, they had an exhibition also, and this was kind of a commission work for us to create an installation inspired by the flora and fauna of Qatar, just like a small oasis, but created using discarded plastics. We had lots of work to do. As per our plan, we had noted down the approximate number of trees, palm trees, cactus, flowering plants, etc. to be added in this installation, and we split the work among ourselves. And I had posted on Facebook and Instagram about the requirement for single-use plastics, and so many people responded and collected the bottles for us. But still, after a couple of days of installation, we understood that we need to create more. Fortunately, the opening of the event got postponed for a week or so. So now we have ample time to come up with new plans, and we were excited to create an experiment with new flowers or different things to be added this time. The quote that I shared at the beginning of this video fits perfectly this time, because I've always dreamt of creating an installation using single-use plastic. All I wanted was the perfect chance, and I couldn't have asked for more. Since I had manifested this for a longer time, the process, the ideas, everything, I had a clear vision, and the process was really easy and free-flowing. It took us more than 2 weeks to create each of these plants or trees at home, and more than a week to install this at the venue. We usually work create during the morning time, and at night I used to go there, sit at night to install. Fool's Paradise. This thoughtful name for this installation was suggested by the clients themselves, and these are the smallest details from these plants and palm trees. You could see so many organic patterns and textures. Now, while looking back, I don't even know how we came up with this, and that too in the shortest time frame available. But still, this video makes us so proud that we pulled it together, and it was such a new concept here, and people were really happy that all these bottles were collected and handmade and had a message to be passed. The two things in your life that you're totally in control over are your attitude and your efforts. I strongly believe that. Once we received this request from the client, initially it was a new concept or a new idea for us, but we accepted that and we jumped right in. That was the best attitude that we could have taken. And that attitude gave confidence for the clients too, to believe in our creativity. And their trust and belief then contributed confidence in me to put my 100% in the form of effort, hard work, and dedication. This installation is really a milestone work for me. It has been challenging but special in many ways. And each moment of creating this installation contributed to the learning curve, a big learning curve. I believe I became a better artist after this installation. And also as a person, now I believe more in my creativity and my instincts. Because while working on such an installation of a large scale, everything won't go as planned. There are times where you have to stick on to the instincts and go with the flow, especially while creating so many organic shapes and formations, and that too in a temporary system. There will be challenges, and your instincts and guts will take you through, and you have to believe in that. I learned through this installation, and this has been a beautiful journey. I was also fortunate to be part of the VIP opening of the cutting studio. The clients were really sweet, and they invited the artists to be present there so we could explain the process involved and maybe even demonstrate few things, how we used to cut the bottles and things like that with the VIP guests during the opening. But it was such an interactive session. Now when I look back, I still think the whole experience to be surreal, to create such a huge installation out of single-use plastics. But on the other hand, it also molded my mind and brain to work more on installations, and I have beautiful plans coming up to create more exciting installations using this discarded plastics. I cannot even imagine or explain how much the artist in me has evolved in the past 2 years. And that is the power of manifestation. I had been dreaming, researching, and planning continuously. All I needed was a chance to showcase that urge for creativity, a chance to showcase my passion. And once it's time, things will fall in place and beautiful results will be awaiting you. And that was my manifestation story, or this empty room's transformation story.